Hello, hello. All right, I'm testing this out. Welcome to another live stream. Yeah, somebody was saying my mic was too loud. I thought it was too low, but I finally figured out the volume button. So I lowered it 20%, so it's at 80% now. So let me know if you can, if it's too loud, or if I need to move it up, or if I need to move it down, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, welcome to another live stream. So in today's live stream, we're going to talk about managing expenses, and then also I have an article here that talks about Social Security for 2025. And yeah, we're going to get into that. So the reason for bringing up managing expenses is because recently I been cutting subscriptions. There have been subscriptions that I've been subscribed to that I don't really use anymore, and I haven't really been keeping track of my subscriptions, and I'm really not. I need to do better at keeping a running budget or a running expense sheet or something like that, because for the most part I know what comes in and I know what goes out, and I do have my notes in my iPhone, so I mean I kind of do track it, but sometimes you track it for a little bit and then you kind of forget about it, right? But I'm always aware of what I have to spend or what's available to spend, so it's not like I'm going over or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I've recently I've been getting rid of subscriptions. So just to give you an example, I was doing like in the beginning of YouTube, I was doing my editing. So I had a subscription to Canva, which was like 15 bucks a month. And then also I had a subscription to this music service where it gives you free royalty music, free of like basically no, not copyrighted, right? So music that you can use in your videos that's not copyrighted. So I was paying a subscription for that. And I think that was around 15 bucks as well. So I was paying 15 for that. I was paying 15 for Canva. And I'm trying to think what else did I have. I feel like I had one more subscription for like 15. I'm trying to think. No, the editing for that I use Final Cut, so that was just a one-time payment. But yeah, so those two subscriptions were 30. Um, at the time, I think a while back I did have the Netflix, but I cut that a while back because I wasn't using it. But I think in total it was like 100. Oh, so I also had, because I was talking about the editing subscriptions that I have, but I also had a car wash subscription that I was paying 35 bucks for. And then there were some other ones that I had that I didn't, that I can't remember right now, but I think it came to like 100 to 150 bucks of subscriptions that, I just forgot about that I was paying for each month. And, it wasn't like, I wasn't really seeing it because it wasn't like a big portion of what money was coming in. So, yeah, I think people should start managing me and myself as well, myself included, because I'm guilty of it as well. But I think people should start tracking their budget at least on a weekly basis. Daily, daily would be nice too, because sometimes that could get tedious, and sometimes people just forget about it. So I think it's easier to have a budget that you go over at the end of the week, and you say, okay, during the week I spent this, I spent that, and it's just a way to regroup at the end of the week and see what money you have left over, and then see what money is coming out. And then also it gives you a chance to, look at the end of the week, look at subscriptions that you're not using and get some money back into savings or get some money back into investing. And for me, it was like 100 to 150 bucks of subscriptions that I just wasn't paying attention to. Now, there's actually some other subscriptions that I'm thinking about canceling, some newsletters. Oh, that was another one. The Wall Street Journal. Well, actually, no, the Wall Street Journal I kept for a little bit, but I think that one got a little bit expensive, and I already had newsletters for crypto and AI. But yeah, so, and I think maybe after this crypto bull run, I will get rid of the the crypto subscription that I have, because right now I'm paying $200 for the Palm Beach Confidential subscription. So that's around, another $12 a month. I don't know. I might keep it since it's $200 a year. It just depends, right? I'm pretty well versed in the crypto space, and I know how to do my own research that I don't really need a newsletter for that specific sector. Now, I'm not saying, you know, once you know some stuff, get rid of all your subscriptions, because that's not the case. I felt like I've been well versed in the crypto space for a while, and I've kept my subscription for the last 2 to 3 years because it's good to get outside information. So again, that's one of those subscriptions I might just keep, but who knows, right? But that's another $12 a month. So I probably got another 50 to $100 in subscriptions that I could potentially cut in and see how I can reduce my expenses each month, right? And I think most of you need to do that, preferably once a week. If you want to do it once a day, you can do that. I know some of the banks like track your expenses for you, but you look at your account, you don't really go into those apps where you see the expenses. Sometimes I do, but it's better to have like a routine, a set day where you say, okay, this date, this week, I'm going to go over my expenses and see what I have left and see what I potentially can cut from my spending, right? And me, I just did that recently, so I freed up, I think, like 100 to $150 a month, right? So it's pretty good. All right. So that's what I wanted to talk about first. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about is Social Security. First, so the title of the article is Social Security cost of living increase will be far smaller than this year's estimates say. Social Security cost of living. So I'm not sure if they're saying Social Security cost of living increase will be far smaller than this year's. So maybe, okay, so I guess they increased Social Security due to how big the cost of living is, and they're saying that it's going to be far smaller than this year, than previous years, right? But my stance on Social Security, like, was always, you need other sources of income to supplement your retirement. You can't just depend on Social Security, or you can't just depend on the 401k at your job when you retire. So I think people need to, I don't even think it's like a choice anymore. You need to find different sources of income, or you need to start investing on your own. That's why I always tell people to make sure you have your own brokerage account. Make sure you have your own investing account where you're doing your own investing aside from the 401k, aside from the Social Security, because, right, your Social Security contribution is not only getting lower, but that bucket is also depleting because we are in a lot of debt as a country, the U.S. So, they're saying that most people probably won't have a Social Security when it's time for you to get it. So, yeah, it's not a surprise that the pool is getting smaller, right? And the cost of living is getting much higher. All right, so let's read this article and let's see what they're talking about. It says next year's Social Security cost of living adjustment (COLA) will likely be lower than the increasing years enjoyed in 2024, according to new estimates as inflation continues to abate. The Senior Citizens League, a nonpartisan group, predicts Social Security benefits will increase by 2.4% for 2025 based on current inflation numbers. The new estimate is on par with the current projection from the Congressional Budget Office (CBO) of 2.5% bump for 2025. The increase in 2024 was 3.2%. So yeah, it did get lower, right? So 0.7%. Well, they think it's gonna. Well, they said it's gonna increase by 2.4%, and they estimated to go 2.5%. So it's really 0.8% lower than the previous year, right? So maybe it gets to zero. Maybe it doesn't increase at all going into the future. All right, so the CBO uses a different methodology than TSCL. TSCL, I don't know what that is, but clearly inflation rates are expected to fall from 2023 levels, and the COLA for 2025 will also be lower. Mary Johnson, Social Security Medicare policy analyst at the Senior Citizens League, told Yahoo Finance. Inflation pressures remain persistent in February, according to the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Consumer Price Index, a broad measure of price of everyday goods, including groceries, gasoline, and rent, showed price rose 0.4% over the previous month and 3.2% over the last February. Yeah, so the CPI data just came out, and it looks like inflation went up, right? Or, yeah, inflation went up. So, yeah, that's not good. Obviously, this is going to affect things like Social Security. Cost of living goes up. So, you know, you're going to get less from that Social Security bucket. All right. Let's see. But economists still broadly expect inflation to slow through 2024, and that will be reflected in the final determination of next year's COLA adjustment from the Social Security Administration, the federal government agency that oversees benefits. All right, so let's look at this chart really quick, and let's see what they're looking at. So it says the cost of living adjustment for Social Security goes into effect the following January 1st. All right, so it looks like the years are at the bottom. And then the percentage. So let's see. Okay, so the cost of so the cost of living adjustment was like 8% in 2022. All right. And I wonder if that's just for Social Security, or is it like how at your job, or if you have a decent job, sometimes they do like a market adjustment because cost of living goes up. I wonder. I'm pretty sure they don't give. I mean, I guess some people do get. I know some people do get like a 5 to 12% increase in their salary. So maybe it looks like 2022. That was one of those years coming off the pandemic, so that kind of makes sense. People probably needed an increase. But yeah, I mean, it looks like this year is pretty low. It's at 2.4. It's around, what is it? Yeah, 2.4% right now. So it's pretty low right now. All right, and so it says a smaller COLA would further strain the more than 70 million retired senior citizens and disabled workers who struggle with rising prices, a persistent problem with how COLAs are calculated. Shelter, medical, and transportation prices remain higher than overall inflation rate, Johnson said, pointing to categories that specifically eat up a chunk of seniors' budgets. It is an ongoing struggle for seniors and retired people trying to keep up with these costs. Johnson added, it's like being stuck in the mud. Well, at least they get Social Security, right? Most likely, if you're in your early 20s or early 30s, you're probably not going to get much Social Security, or you're not going to get it at all. And I'm pretty sure by the time you are eligible for Social Security, the price of stuff is going to increase. If they don't do anything about the debt that we have, I don't see inflation just stopping, right? It's like if you look at the average amount of money that you have to pay for rent, like I pay $2,300, right? And that's just for like a 1-bedroom studio type stuff. Obviously, I live downtown, so it's a little inflated. But still, if you go to like the suburb area, you're still paying like $1,800 for a 1-bedroom. So everything's expensive, and I don't see that slowing down. Like rent prices just continue to go up. So it's either you need to get a higher paying job, or multiple sources of income to combat these increases in prices. So let's see. So yeah, it's going to be a struggle for the seniors. That looks like it's pretty much it for the article. But yeah, I think the takeaway here is to not depend on Social Security, not to depend on 401k. I think the average 401k, like the amount in people's 401k when they retire, is like 250 to 350,000. Maybe high like if you're on the high end, maybe 400 to 500,000. And depending how, if you're retiring at 65, that may last you depending on your lifestyle. But, if you want to travel, if you want to do things, most likely that's not going to be enough, right? So yeah, just take that into consideration. And then also, like we said in the beginning, like I said in the beginning, make sure you are tracking your budget. If you have subscriptions that you don't use, make sure you're tracking those because those can add up. I keep, just off the top of my head, I keep my Amazon subscription. Obviously, Ecamm, I'm shooting this video now on Ecamm. I pay $40 a month for that. So things that you actually need, determine what you actually need and what you don't actually need, and start cutting back on some of the stuff you don't need. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys Friday in my next live stream, and take care.